The project that I did was on Tyco, which many of you guys have probably heard about this fraud already. In today's society, many companies are under high scrutiny due to situations that have happened in the past. Tyco International is a perfect example of a large company committing fraud due to unethical behavior of the executives. Giving executives too much power can result in unethical activity within the business. Dennis Kozlowski saw an opportunity to make himself financially wealthy, and in the end, this plan backfired. In this presentation, I will be talking about the history of Tyco, the ethical issues surrounding the fraud, how the fraud was discovered and the results from the fraud, and then the auditing problem that occurred by not solving this problem. A little bit of history was that in 1960, it was founded by a man named Arthur Rosenberg, who opened up a laboratory and started working for the government. 2 years later, he incorporated Tyco. In 1973, Joseph Gaziano was named president and CEO of the company with a plan to turn this company into a billion-dollar company. At the age of 47, he suddenly passed away without being able to reach his goal. And that's not to say that he didn't accomplish a lot while there. He turned Tyco from a $27 million business in sales to over $500 million. In 1992, this is when Dennis Kozlowski took over leadership, and he had been with Tyco for previous years and knew the business pretty well. He was able to turn the company into a $12 billion business, and it became a market leader in 4 key areas. These areas included disposable and specialty products, fire and security services, flow control products, and electrical components. He was also very aggressive in behavior by acquiring a lot of companies, and that's how they became a market leader. But becoming a market leader does not mean that he had no ethical issues going on. In 1999, this is when they were first being investigated by the SEC due to accounting practices surrounding the bookkeeping of these acquisitions. This term that they referred to was spring loading, which means that the pre-acquisition earnings of an acquired company's earnings are underreported, so that it will then lead to an apparent burst of earnings after the merged company afterwards. No action was taking place at this time. Joseph Gaziano lived a lavish lifestyle while being the president and CEO of Tyco, and Kozlowski wanted to follow in those footsteps. The problem is when you put personal interest in front of ethical behavior, that is when companies will create fraud. He would give himself personal bonuses and compensations which amounted to millions of dollars more than most CEOs at the time were earning. Along with that, other top executives were being paid millions of dollars and had loan forgiveness programs within the company without approval of the board members. Kozlowski, Mark Schwartz, and Mark Belnick would give themselves interest-free loans without the board approval and would hardly repay these loans back. Kozlowski was all about living the wealthy lifestyle, and the public knew about this. He would spend millions of dollars on houses, yachts, parties, and artwork. He even threw his wife a $2 million birthday party and writ half of that off as a business trip expense, which meant Tyco had to use $1 million to pay that off. Many of the expensive things he bought were used by Tyco funds without knowledge by the board members. In 2002, he was investigated for sales tax evasion on artwork that he would buy and have invoices sent to New Hampshire, which did not have a sales tax, and then bring that artwork back to New York to his apartment. And I have a little video just to show how he used this money.
Click now to start commanding the road in a 2015 GMC Sierra, now with over 8,400.
Tyco stock.
1 year you made, I think, $170 million.
I'm not sure 170, but I made over 100 million. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It's more money than
10 million here, 10
exactly.
million there, who cares?
Yeah.
But what's it like to earn that kind of money?
It's a way of keeping score.
Keeping score meant keeping up with the masters of the universe. $30 million to build a mansion in Boca Raton. acquiring homes in Nantucket and Colorado, and just loose change $16 million for Endeavor, a vintage yacht. He joined the board of the Whitney Museum. He had Tyco buy a $19 million apartment and decorated it with $11 million worth of stuff. Would Dennis Kozlowski a few years ago even contemplated going to Europe to buy old master paintings?
No, absolutely not. You know, it came with earning the amount of money I was earning at the time.
Was it your idea, or were you invited to join the board of the Whitney?
Oh, it was not my idea at all. I was invited to join the board, and I never made a board meeting.
So
It
you
just
were
wasn't
invited
on.
because they like having really rich guys on the board.
I assume it wasn't for my knowledge of art. So.
But it was art that would lead to his undoing. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office was investigating galleries that were helping customers avoid sales taxes. Kozlowski had purchased $13 million worth of paintings, including a Renoir and Monet, for the Tyco apartment. But prosecutors said he had some of them shipped to Tyco's offices in New Hampshire, a state without sales tax. They were then trucked back to New York. In 2002, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office indicted Kozlowski for evading over $1 million in sales tax, and he resigned as CEO. But that was only the beginning. The Tyco board investigated its CEO's behavior and made public a report that was devastating. Kozlowski's excesses were revealed in excruciating detail. Decorations for the New York apartment became classic tabloid headlines, mocking the CEO's taste and his greed. The $50,000 doggy umbrella stand, and the ultimate symbol of his downfall, that $6,000 shower curtain. As overblown as the coverage may have been, you signed off on those.
I signed off on a decorator to decorate the Tyco apartment. And beyond that, that was my involvement. The first time I heard about that shower curtain, the first time was after I was out of the company, and I read about it in a newspaper, and I was calling around asking, where's the shower curtain? But to this day, I wouldn't know it if it fell on me, so.
And then there was the 40th birthday party for Kozlowski's wife, Karen, in Sardinia. It was togas galore, a 4-day festival of flesh.
Let's rock. Hey, where did we go?
Jimmy Buffett was flown in for the music, and guests were treated to a special cake, an anatomically correct woman with exploding breasts. The cost was over $2 million. Since Kozlowski claimed it was in part a work retreat, Tyco footed half the bill. Was it embarrassing for